A menace has found its way into your gaming table. The dreaded disruptive player. They keep interrupting you or interrupting the other players. They talk about random things that have nothing to do with the game. Look for every opportunity to create chaos. They're rude to every single NPC, insulting them for a cheap laugh. Or at least that's when they're not being a complete murder hobo. And if left unchecked, that destructive force will reduce your game to rubble and ashes. We need to fix that stat. And I'm here to help because I know a little something about disruption. Why, you ask? I used to be a high school teacher. Teachers get a lot of practice at handling disruptive agents. In our circles, some call them problem students. Truth of it is, in order to eradicate the problem, we need to chill the down. When a teacher thinks they've got a problem student, I guarantee you that most often the problem isn't the student. Actually, labeling them that way only makes things worse for a variety of reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean either that the problem is the teacher. I don't know why you would even think that. I'm an angel and can do no wrong. But there is a problem somewhere. And yes, we can hold a buddy accountable for their actions, but antagonizing said buddy doesn't get us that far. Besides, teachers are not allowed to strangle students, and you're not allowed to strangle your players. But what if the disruption caused by a player or a student is a symptom? The beast we have to destroy isn't them. It's an underlying issue that nudges them towards disruption. Most students don't push the teacher's buttons to be mean. They're not cruel like that. That's my thing. But I'm pretty sure all of that is true for your gaming table too. So let's look at some possible root causes that could make a player disruptive and how to move forward from there. And because we need the big guns to take down that big bad monster, let's ask for help from the wisest creatures to walk this plane: clowns. Yes, the wisdom of clowns often goes unnoticed. But the greatest advice I ever heard from teaching or running games, I heard it from them. I mentioned it before and I will mention it again because it's very, very important insight. Once upon a time, little me decided to try out clowning. Our merry crew of beginner clowns desperately needed mentorship through this treacherous endeavor, so we consulted some experienced elder clowns to answer our questions and light our path through this arduous journey. One question we asked them was this one: "Oh, wise one, why do kids keep trying to pull our noses?" And they said, "Oh, sweet summer child, heed my words. If you don't find a way to entertain the kids will find a way to entertain themselves. They shall do the unimaginable and pull on your round red nose." The same prophecy repeats itself in the classroom and at the gaming table. Your player isn't so engaged in the game, so they create their own engagement. Does that mean that your game is not engaging? No. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm not in your game. I'm just a creature trapped inside the screen. But most often the problem isn't the game or the player, it's the lack of a bridge between the two. Communication not happening because there's a need somewhere that is not being met. So let's build some bridges by meeting some needs. Bridge number 1. In your time as a teacher, you will be asked one question which bears the highest possible stakes. There will come a time when the students will ask you this: why are we doing this? Well, what a good question, Riley. But the teacher must repress their passive-aggressive instincts, for the way they answer this question is decisive. They could set Riley on the right path, given the keys to meaningfully connect and engage with the topic, or they could say, "We're doing this because it's in the curriculum," at which point they've entirely doomed Riley and any chance they had of actually caring about this class. Oopsies. Because that question is not defiance, it's genuinely asking for meaning. Asking what are the applications of this so that they know how to proceed with their actions. In order to engage with something, your players need to understand what we're working towards. Disruptive, chaotic actions could just mean that they're fuzzy on what the goals are and why any of what we're doing matters. As in, they're lost with the plot. If we're interrogating a dude but Riley doesn't know why he's even relevant, there's nothing really to hang on to. Of course, Riley's gonna do whatever. No, Riley, don't behead this guy, he's our informant. And yeah, maybe if you'd paid attention earlier, you would know why we're doing this, Riley. Oh my, won't you look at that? Another thing not to say as a teacher. We already know Riley wasn't paying attention, we're trying to fix that. There's no need to rub it in. So what to do? There's no harm in checking in from time to time and saying, "Hey, are you clear on what's going on? Do you want me to do a little recap on why we're here and what we're trying to get out of this encounter?" And the priority of this recap is to be short and concise. Right now, too much information is just gonna overwhelm Riley. Riley needs small, actionable goals. At the moment, Riley can't handle the entire history of the 7 kingdoms that led up to this. Just enough to get their bearings right now in this scene. From there, it snowballs little by little, scene by scene, until Riley's caught up and can find their own way. Or maybe the point of friction isn't even the plot, but how to even play that game system. When a student tunes out, there's a good chance that they struggle with the material, so they would rather just avoid the issue and do something else. Same thing for your players. Offer a hand to get them situated. They can't make meaningful decisions unless they know where it's all going towards. But I know this poses a whole other problem. Sure, Riley now understands what's going on, but like that doesn't help me if they don't give a Okay, so why should Riley care? Often answering that question means answering another. Does Riley actually feel involved? Because people tend to want to be involved. Some disruptive interventions just come from feeling the need to do something or say something so you can be a part of what's happening, even if you're not being super relevant about it. Yes, Riley, I know you're here. You're making your presence very known, but I see that you're trying. Once your player is a bit more clear on the party's goals, the next step is to make sure they know why those goals should matter to them. What feels personal about it? One question I ask myself is, does this culture allow them to meaningfully connect with the game? It's never too late in the campaign to sit down and be like, hey, do you feel like we could connect your culture a bit more to the world? Do you want us to sit down and go over your backstory and see how we can flesh it out a bit more? Which doesn't mean necessarily making their backstory the center of the campaign. It's more about the process of getting them to think about what matters to their culture and then leveraging that. Because it's when they know that their culture has a deeply ingrained sense of justice that they start to take the lead on helping that wrongfully imprisoned NPC. In that conversation, you might even realize together that they're not super fond of their culture and might need some help making a new one that feels more connected to the plot and the world. That's also entirely okay. In either of these cases, here's a few prompts that I like players to think about so they know a bit better how their culture might engage with different aspects of the world. What are they scared of? What values do they hold dear? What kind of people do they envy, despise, admire, feel protective of? What are they insecure about? What are they proud of? Do they have any long, mid, and short-term goals? In light of all of that, what kind of relationships do they predict with each of the other party members? It'll be a whole lot easier for them to feel that their culture has a place in the game. People want to feel involved and connected, and it turns out Riley loves feeling connected, so much that they keep getting sidetracked to talk about stuff that has nothing to do with the game. Wait, what? Oh no. So Riley's got no problem chatting. By the way, have I told you this crazy story that happened earlier this week about how they found a body under my house? Not now, Riley. We're trying to play. Interruptions in the flow of the game to talk about entirely unrelated stuff can be frustrating, but also very understandable if you think about it. Crazy, but my players actually are friends with each other outside the game. They have lives outside of TTRPG. Weird, but okay. Riley hasn't seen her buddies in a week, and maybe it's natural to want to catch up and hang out a bit. I know some groups don't mind a little out-of-game conversation at the table, but if for one reason or another this is the kind of interruptions you're trying to avoid in your game, then this one is actually relatively easy to fix. It's not unreasonable for friends to want to catch up, so offer them that space separately from the game. You can delay the start of the game a bit to let people get those social creature instincts out of their system before session starts. It might also be worth it to start the habit of a mid-session break. If something pops up into their head that they want to share, they know there will be a time for it. Again, crazy to think there's people whose lives don't exclusively revolve around TTRPG. Can't imagine what that's like. But I'll entertain the thought for research, so enjoy that time to hang out with friends. Get some food, get your drinks ready for the game, get comfy, and when it's time to start, treat that shift like a tangible transition. Ask if everyone is ready and switch to another ambience. This is where the lighting changes, a scented candle is lit, fantasy music starts playing, and we get into the recap of last session. Those little rituals create cues that get your players to get their brain into game mode. Kinda like how at the theater when the lights finally dim, you know it's showtime. And if still somehow Riley's actions in the middle of the game still make you feel like you want to show up to the game with a spiked baseball bat, maybe we're overlooking something a whole lot more pragmatic. I don't think Unobstruction is actually a word. But do I care? Do I already butcher the English language on a daily basis as a non-native speaker? Just go with it, love. We've talked a bunch about how players and students alike enjoy being challenged, involved, connected. But what of the more mundane, practical needs? And there's a variety of physiological reasons why it might be hard to focus on a game or a class. A student who hasn't been sleeping well is gonna struggle a whole lot more to stay focused. A player is gonna have a hard time enjoying a game when they're exhausted from a super long workday, when they're hungry, or just really want a smoke break. We really tend to underestimate the impact that all of these have at the gaming table. The problem might just be exacerbated by a very practical, tangible need obstructing our path. So we need to unobstruct. Ask what can we actually do to make this game more comfortable. One issue I've had before as a player is struggling to focus in front of an online game because it's just me and my computer, and I was a little restless. Now sometimes I knit while playing. On top of building a backlog of handmade Christmas gifts, It helped a whole lot with my focus. These mortal flesh suits of ours have their quirks, and rather than try to shut them down, let's facilitate working with them, not against them. If we're having a very big-brained political intrigue mystery late at night, and Riley's brain is already fried from an intense workday, I can understand struggling to maintain interest. Riley is out of spell slots. There's some solutions out there. Playing at a different time, or getting dinner together during the game, having something to fidget with, or again, a break halfway through. Or maybe a table wouldn't mind the tone of your game being a tad lighter. After all, games can be an outlet, and wanting to control everything is slippery and dangerous. When I think hobby and escapism, I don't necessarily think sustained concentration and discipline. You're a friend and a game master, not a drill sergeant. Doesn't work for teachers and probably won't work for you. Don't discipline your players. The goal isn't to assert dominance with friends. Oh yeah, you should assert dominance, but not because of some authoritative hierarchy where the GM makes all the decisions. It should be because they know that no one would ever find the body. Don't underestimate me, Riley. My patience has limits, and so does my sense of mercy. Okay, but what if none of that works? What if no matter how hard you try to bang your head against the wall, bricks are still bricks? I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Would you prefer I lied to you? There's no shame in accepting that maybe this table isn't the right fit for this player. You've given it your best. You've talked with the player about things that could help get us on the same page. Oh yeah, I should also reiterate that all the stuff I've said so far goes hand in hand with some good old-fashioned communication. Sensible dialogue, not coming from a place of opposition. So like, not the kind of way I've been talking about Riley in this video. That was for the bit, don't do that. But you've tried understanding if there's a need not being met and it's not helping. So what about your needs? And those of the table and the other players? You're in your right to agree that you're not the right fit. We can't really do that in the classroom with a student. We infinitely get back to the drawing board. But TTRPG is a hobby we do in our free time, and it doesn't have to be a source of stress and conflict. Well, I hope there is plenty of stress and conflict, but like in character. In real life, there's no need to wait for resentment and anger to build up so much that you and Riley end up duking it out with a warhammer in a parking lot. Yes, Riley is fine and alive. I don't know why people keep asking. Alternatively, according to ancient prophetic texts recently unearthed, something else might help. They speak of a place where souls seeking knowledge and clarity may gather. The Codeboards and Curiosities Patreon. According to legend, it opens a portal to a Discord server, which is not a cult, where game masters and strange creatures congregate, and grants upon the traveler a variety of boons. More seriously, I try to have a little extra on there every week. It can be a bonus video, some bloopers, a puzzle, some free printables, or a livestream. And thank you to them, because Patreon members are what ensure I can keep doing what I'm doing, not just by supporting me, but also because the unholy Cokeboard, my otherworldly master, wants me to bring new souls into its service, and who knows what he'll do if I fail. And on this, I shall take my leave. So on this note, have a good evening, and may you hold on strongly to your sanity as your patience gets tested over and over again.